So, John, man, we got another video. We got this case, you know what I'm saying? Let's watch this, bro. I do know a little bit about it, but let's just see this. Oh, Hamilton.
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Now, for the first time, we're seeing the footage that helped convince jurors Karmelo Anthony was guilty of murdering Austin Metcalf.
What's your name, man?
Karmelo Anthony, K-A-R-M-E-L-O.
Shocking new body cam captures Anthony's first words about what he claims happened.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
But does the video tell a different story? We have the body cam, the surveillance, and the moments that turned track meet mayhem into a cold-blooded murder. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
I was going to say how he had a knife at the track meet, but let's just see it, man.
We have a lot to get to in this episode. Cody Thomas from Court TV, who is one of the few journalists in the courtroom for the entire trial, will be here in a moment to break down what we're looking at as we go through this surveillance video of the moment Karmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf, as well as some of the pictures that have now been made public. One of the challenges in covering this trial was no cameras were allowed. So we would hear about this surveillance video, which you're about to see, of the alleged confrontation between Anthony and Metcalf, and we would read the police documents that laid out what Anthony allegedly said to officers on that day. But now, after the verdict, and now that Anthony is in prison for as long as 35 years, we are seeing the evidence that everyone inside the courtroom was able to see during this trial.
You want to know what going through people's head when they think about doing shit like this and just not even thinking about their actions, bro.
It's the alleged suspect.
Throwing their lives away.
No, I'm not. I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. Okay.
That is body cam video of an officer arriving on scene after Karmelo Anthony had already been placed in handcuffs. And in that body cam, you can hear Anthony tell the officer that he is not alleged to have stabbed Austin Metcalf. He says he did it. We do have more body cam video to show you here in just a moment, but I want to begin with the 911 call that came in from the track meet in Frisco, Texas in April of last year.
Frisco 911, what is the location of the emergency?
Hi, we're at Kuykendall Stadium. My friend just got stabbed.
Okay, do you know who
At a
stabbed
track
him?
meet.
And he's running.
We have no clue. He was sitting in our tent, but you need to send an ambulance right now.
They're on the way, okay? Give me a description of the person that stabbed him.
He was wearing a gray Essentials hoodie. He was black. He's standing out on the track right now.
He's standing on the track?
Yeah.
Okay.
His blue sweatpants on and John.
Okay, what did he stab your friend with?
I tried telling him to stop.
I don't know. My friend's bleeding everywhere.
Okay.
I was walking.
Where was he stabbed at?
The chest.
Okay. And do you still see the person that stabbed him, or did he leave?
He went back to the feet.
It was Austin. Austin got stabbed in the chest. I'm sorry, what did you say?
The person
Rocket Austin, I pressed his
that
phone.
stabbed him, is he still there? Do you still see him?
Coaches detained Karmelo until police arrived, and you hear in that call so much chaos and panic as people are tending to Austin Metcalf. Austin would die from a stab wound to the chest, and at trial, the medical examiner said there was no way
Don't
that
they have
Austin
like trainers though at like track meets and shit?
could have survived an
just-
injury that severe. Now, this
That
is a
was not
911
helpful.
call from a coach who is trying to save Austin's life.
We have Army veteran that's trying to keep compression on the wound.
Okay. Are you with him now?
He is laying here. He
How old
is
is he?
starting to go unconscious.
How old is
High school age, so maybe 15, 16, 17.
he? Okay. Is he awake?
No, he's going unconscious.
Okay. Is he breathing?
Not right now.
Breathing.
No, he's not.
No,
He's not breathing at all?
No.
Okay. Where was he stabbed at?
In his chest.
There was a moment as we go through these 911 calls where
You know
coaches
how, like,
thought
don't they have like police at the schools too?
that Austin started breathing
Like one
again
officer?
and that there was this sign of hope that he could survive. But the Army veteran who was tending to Austin, he was also a coach. He testified at trial. He told jurors that he knew that Austin was gone. And I want you to listen just to the background of this call here as coaches are doing chest compressions on Austin Metcalf. Listen to the chaos.
Freaking out, and they were just trying to contain him.
Okay.
Give me a breath, Austin. Give me a breath, Austin. Give me a breath, Austin. You're doing good.
I hear you.
Like,
Let
give
me
me
know
a
when
breath,
they're with you,
Austin.
okay? Let me know how to get until they're with you. Let me know if you stop breathing, okay?
I heard that breath. Okay. Come on, Austin. Come on, Austin. That's it. That's it. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on. You got this. You got this. Come on.
Okay, we got the suspect, okay? So you guys just focus on him, okay?
Okay, thank you. Come on, come on. Every once in a while, there's a breath that he's here. Come on, come on, come on.
I'm going to keep you with me, okay, until they're with you. Is he breathing still?
He's trying, yeah. We're doing compressions and giving him mouth to mouth.
Okay.
Austin died
They saw
at
the
that track.
people that tried to save him, though.
I want to show you now the body cam video of when officers detained Karmelo Anthony, and I want you to listen to what Karmelo says and how his tone changes as he perhaps realizes what he just did.
Hold on.
And I'm just protecting myself.
Where do you want me?
If somebody is treating the victim, they need to be over there.
North end under a memorial tent.
Don't reach for anything, all right, man? Stop right there for me. Dispatch 443, I got the suspects, and they're currently treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. All right, any weapons on you like that? Go ahead. I'll look here.
How long? He put his hands up. I know I'm not.
4-4, copy, I'll be in route.
Help me, y'all back up a little bit. Come over here for me. Go over here.
447, clear.
I'm gonna put your handcuffs for now, okay?
What's your handcuffs for now? I'm like, I still don't understand what they were doing, though. Like, they're at a track meet, and he's stabbing people? Like, don't y'all gotta run track? Like, what are y'all doing? Are they gonna tell the
Dispatch
reason?
443, everybody can slow down. I got the alleged suspect in handcuffs right now, detained.
Everyone else can slow down. Suspects detained in handcuffs.
Hold on. You can open up the channel, and medics are clear to come in. Have them come to the northeast entrance. That's going to be a
This
gate
is
that's
probably
wide
the
open
first
there.
thing we've seen.
And then you come to the victim from there.
Received.
Sounds like crime.
This is the alleged suspect.
I am.
All right,
Dispatch is 432. Quick around that.
okay. We'll figure that in a minute. So nothing on your person at all?
No, sir.
Nothing?
No, sir.
Mind if I reach in your pockets and stuff and all that? Nothing gonna stab me?
No, sir.
Okay.
I have.
I'm going to be out with this, okay?
Where would you put the knife at?
I'm gonna get a little personal
Right.
there, okay? Just to make sure.
Do it when he was running.
Okay.
I mean, you on camera. I just don't see why people do this episode, bro. I just don't get the point, bro. I just why throw your life away like that, bro. You were probably doing track. You're probably good at it, and you just kill somebody. Now you ruin their family's life and now your life, bro. It's just crazy what ego and pride would do, bro, to a person.
All right.
Like, what do you gain from this, bro?
The victim's gonna be underneath that tent over there, so I'll get medics. Memorial tent over there, guys. All right.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
What's happening right now? Victim is over here on the north end. They got staff standing to him right now. This is the alleged suspect. Okay. Already? No. We searched them. We got nothing on him.
I don't know what happened.
423. Trackers have a negative CPR progress for a little bit.
Racing.
Sure that's the wrong thing.
Racing.
What's the pants up?
Come on, side over here or which side? Up to you. It's up to you.
That's fine. This is closer.
Let me do one more little check of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't mind for reaching your pockets, anything like that? You good?
The hoodie, he didn't do the hoodie pocket, though. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm wearing some little underwear.
Well, yeah, but no, it's not
Like,
pocket. Is there a
no, ma'am, I
pocket?
don't think so.
What's your name, man?
I don't think
Karmelo
so.
Anthony, Karmelo.
430, show me out.
Okay.
Racing.
Have a seat here real quick, man. Watch your head. Let me check your hood here, buddy, okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, lean this way so you're not resting on your hands, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, see a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
402, I'm on scene.
So your first name is Karmelo?
Yes, sir. Karmelo.
Let's see, hold on one second.
Is he gonna be okay?
I don't know yet,
Says he's
man.
gonna be okay.
Carmelo, C-A-R-A.
K-A-R.
K-A-R.
M-E-L-O.
M-E-L-O. Carmelo, what's your last name?
Anthony.
A-N-T-H.
O-N-Y.
O-N-Y. What grade are you in?
I'm in 12th grade.
10th grade? You go to Emerson?
No, sir.
Where do you go? Centennial. Okay.
I'm in 12th grade.
12. Yeah.
12th grade? Okay, North Centennial. All right, sit
And
tight
say
for
he
me,
was
good
a
brother, right?
senior too. He was gonna graduate, bro. And he just threw. Well, I don't know if.
There is no up-close
I
video
don't
of the
see.
stabbing of Austin Metcalf. There is only this angle of the confrontation. It is from a camera that was mounted on the top of the stadium where the
I ain't gonna lie, this is I used to do this when I was on football. They have like cameras at the top of the stadium, and then they also have like drones too during like track practice and shit.
meet took place, and the
So that's where
camera
they got
is
the angle
pointed
from.
at the tent, which belonged to Austin Metcalf's team.
Oh, he had a
Carmelo's
video?
defense team argued at trial that Karmelo was invited under the tent, that he had a friend of his girlfriend who was on Austin Metcalf's team, and that friend had waved him over. Now, the state argued that Karmelo never should have been under an opposing team's tent and that
That's
he
true.
refused to
But
leave.
like, where's the coach though? Let's see. You have to think of that too, because even when we had like football OTAs, like we weren't allowed to go on their side either. But we'll have coaches there to like, saying stop that, because there used to be like fights stuff like that in there too. You feel me? So it's like they would, stop that before it would happen, because it gets competitive. But I don't even think
When
this
he
really
was
had
told to
anything to do with track. It just seemed like he just wanted to be over here with him.
And that led to a
Like maybe they had
confrontation
some type
and
of
a
beef,
shove
I guess. I don't
that
know.
turned to murder. Join us now to talk more about the evidence that we're all now seeing on the outside for the first time is Cody Thomas from Court TV, who is in the courtroom for the entire trial of Karmelo Anthony. So here's the surveillance video, and you described it as like in I don't know directly the words, but it's like you can't really take a lot away from it because like you see the moment, you see some sort of scuffling, perhaps the shove inside of the tent, but to your point, I mean, it's not a lot when it comes to maybe what people were hoping they were going to see when they see this. Like, what stands out to you now that we're all kind of watching what you were describing in the courtroom?
Yeah. If you remember what I described, Chris, I described it that same way. You can tell that it's very zoomed in. It's over pixelated because, the camera's coming from across the football field. But of course, everyone has highlighted the moment, that everyone's, dissected it. And you see,
if, like in court, he might be able to I don't know. Cause it's not as like, you can't really see as much, but if it was like a real, like high quality, like it'll be,
what is, assumed
if
to
they
be the
could
shove.
see it from now, just imagine if it was high quality, bro.
And you can see again the force of the shove. You see that it's a push, but other than that, you can't really, even in the courtroom, it was never specified because it was a big deal about who was standing, who was sitting, who was where, who was this and that. It was never really specified under the tent who was who. Of course, after the shove, you see immediately 2 to 3 seconds later, you see Karmelo, who is highlighted and spot shadowed, run, to the 3 or 4 or 5 bleachers up, which is also where the knife was found. That's where the knife was found, where they threw it and the body cam caught it up. But then you see him running away. But that's about the only, distinguished individual we see in that video.
Or he thought he was going to get searched, I guess.
Of course, what stands out is just the moment itself, because
the
minutes leading up to the moment are just, people are just there. It's just these humanoid figures under the tent. You see people walking by. There's not really much of a commotion happening outside of the shove. And even when you watch the moment of the shove, you don't really see too much going on outside of the shove itself. And then all of a sudden you see a bunch of dispersing and scattering because, people are realizing, oh, somebody's been stabbed here. But again, the video had minimal things to take away outside of the moment itself.
It's really traumatizing too for the people that was in this tent, bro. That's seen it.
Right. And
then
I was surprised because I remember there was one witness near the end where the prosecution was able to kind of point them out.
What happened to all the witnesses? Like, was it because they're like too young so they can't go to like, court and stuff like that without their parents and stuff, or they just didn't want to tell, or like, because if they were sitting right next to them, how would they not
and say like, so this is where you were at that time? And it's like, I don't even know how they were able to do that because I feel like I'm just looking at pixels. You know, little. And you understand that there's a ton of people under the tent. You see the colors of Austin Metcalf's school. It's about 7 minutes, 59 seconds in, like the shove happens. I will say you can take away from this kind of the force of the shove. Because it seems like, Metcalf, you see him kind of shove and then there's a
Oh, he shoved
reaction
him.
from Karmelo, and then we'll talk about like what he does after.
Mhm.
But I think that was something. I mean,
That's
I
what
look
was
at this, and it wasn't, if you were someone who was, you know, on the side of the defense, it feels like it's a shove. I mean, that's what it is. It doesn't seem like it's this aggressive punch or something like that. And I how do you remember that playing out in the courtroom? Just that
Like, was he
particular
sitting
part and
down
kind of
when
the
he shoved? Like, I
force and
can't
how it was
see.
described.
You know, people just, there wasn't really much of a real reaction to it, because another thing I take away from this, the moment of the video, Chris, is that, you know, the defense was saying, we've heard all through, you know, the social media and the interviews with Karmelo's parents, is that he was like more or less being jumped by a collection of students, you know, 3 to 4 students.
I mean, it was a lot of people.
The
but
moment in the video doesn't really
I don't
depict
see
that in any specificity. Of course, again, very pixelated, very, you know, not as quality as we would have liked it to be, but you don't see that at all, you know, because that, to me, that would be a lot more.
I thought there should be more security and just more cameras, I guess, around here, and just, you know, coaches like being around the players too. I mean, I don't really know how track meet, because I went to one track meet before. I don't really know how that works real, but I do know that they have like different sections and stuff like that for teams.
God. But as far as in the courtroom, it was, the video is shown, and it's kind of like you and I watching it here. It wasn't much of a, you know, I was expecting cell phone video. You know, all these teenagers have their phones out, and you're going to see something really graphic, up close and personal, great quality, lots of yelling. And now we have this.
Good, bro. Hey, do not take that advice, bro. If you're in a situation like this, do not bring your phone out and record, bro. That should not be your first instinct, dog. Get to safety. You feel me? And tell the teachers or somebody, bro. Don't just start recording, man. That's not
Violent video that looks like it was filmed at a Quick Trip. So it was like people saw the moment, but there was no shocking, you know, no gasp. It was just, oh, here it is. And, you know, the prosecution even prefaced before they played it, like 2 minutes before they played it, hey, you're not going to be able to see much here. This is why we have this forensic video analyst to kind of talk to us about how he identified who, and, you know, the other different angles of coming in the gates. And we saw Karmelo in a lighter colored hoodie and Austin in these colored shoes. Like, he walked through all that before you got to the moment, because he had to, because if there was none of that, you wouldn't know who you were looking at, right? I mean, you could probably make an assumption based after the moment who's running away and whatever else, but everything leading up to that, you wouldn't know anything.
No, and even looking at the shove now, I just, as you're talking, I'm kind of like just on the final like kind of 5 seconds leading up to it, and then you see it, and it's like there's not really from who I can see as Austin Metcalf, it's like there's not a lot of separation between the two. It's not like a shove.
I'm assuming he got shoved and then just stabbed him and then ran away.
Where Karmelo almost like falls backwards even.
Yeah.
And
like
if
like
Austin came out,
him or anything.
it literally is like they're not separated
so
at all.
Was there any coaches under the tent, or was just a
It
whole
seems
bunch
like
of students?
he had him the entire time. I do think, and there were some.
Yeah,
and like if
not
Austin
like
came out, like
him or anything.
It literally is like they're not separated at all. It seems like he had him the entire time. I do think, and there were some questions. I think Carmelo Anthony's parents brought it up, where it's like there's so much. It seems like some of the testimony perhaps varied when it comes to how strong the shove was, this and that, and like you do take away where it's like this was almost a year ago. More than a year ago.
Say that Austin put his hands on him first.
That all
so he
of this
probably thought that was self-defense.
And it's so bang, bang.
That's why he did it. But
where it's like to remember that moment over and over and over again. I mean, especially when there's not a lot of video, which is surprising because you would think since they were alleged to kind of have been going back and forth, nobody took out a camera phone, which seems to happen a lot.
Well, yeah.
I was surprised just how quickly it happened.
They probably didn't expect a fight. Like, they probably just expected it to be a little confrontation.
The force.
But I see what I mean now. But what he made it seem like, it was just like, oh, somebody's about to get, you know what I'm saying, hurt, you just pull your phone out. That's kind of
we do see as the video continues on, you can see Carmelo Anthony. He leaves the tent, he goes up the bleachers, and then I'm just playing it here, and he's kind of like running down the bleachers a little bit. You see someone kind of going after him and then running back to the tent, and then Carmelo runs his way from the bleachers where eventually it seems like he comes in contact with an adult, with a few people who are following him. How do you remember that part of the story being told and what we're looking at as we see him in this spot shadow kind of running from the bleachers out of the area where all of this took place?
So, you know, you have the perspective of the prosecutor, you have the perspective of the defense attorney, then you have the perspective of the students who were there. So the prosecutor is obviously saying, he's done this heinous thing. He's conscious of what he's done, no guilty. He's running away, trying to get away and be anywhere but there because, he's running and then he stops and he walks a little bit. So they were trying to go along with, he's just trying to blend in like nothing happened. That's where the prosecution was going. The witnesses, the student witnesses were kind of echoing the same thing, but some of them testified to how you mentioned someone was running after him and they turned back around, but then you see 2 or 3 more going after him, continuing not to go after him. You don't see them, getting a physical altercation. More so you see them pointing out like, that's him. And that's what they were saying on the stand.
Yeah.
And then the defense is saying, he ran away. He was scared of what he'd just done.
But it's true because it's crazy. He just ran away and then still stayed in the stadium. Like he didn't run out of the stadium. He didn't run. I mean, he probably had no transportation, but they say he was a senior, so he probably had a car. You feel me? And he probably could have,
key point of the whole situation
so
is that
just tried to
he had
act
an opportunity to run out of the stadium and really run away, but he stayed in the stadium. He ran to the track, found an adult, and stayed there. So trying to paint, his character as like, he realized what he'd done, but not in like a malicious way, if I should say. But the thing about it, like when you pointed that moment where he runs to an adult, that coach took the stand as well as another coach who was in the vicinity.
You should also like check on your kids too. Like especially too, like and that's what I'll say too, like with certain instances too, like defending yourself, I get, and telling your kids that, but it just gets to a point, bro. Like don't allow, like if you know that they're getting bullied and stuff like that. Like I'm not saying he got bullied, but just in general, if you know they're getting bullied consistently, or even if you just go to the school and you talk to the teachers and just ask them yourself, like if you know that's consistent, you probably should just have them homeschooled or just something else, bro. Just for their safety, bro. Because if you continue to let them go to school and continue to get bullied, something's gonna happen eventually, bro. And it's just facts.
See, because there's this woman, this female coach, and both of these coaches, all these coaches.
That's why you just gotta know, bro. Like when it comes to your family and people around you, bro. Because like these people just watching, but you just gotta be aware, bro. And it's crazy too that nobody really ran away from him. They like, you feel me? After he stabbed him, they didn't run away from him.
She was in the vicinity because
sitting there.
There's this woman, this female coach, and both of these coaches, all these coaches are from different schools. There's this female coach from some different high school. The name of the high school is lost upon me right now. But anyway, she was testifying that she saw a lot of commotion going on, a lot of yelling over where the tent was, right?
And then
you see those students running out, and they're like, "Mrs. So-and-so, it's him. He stabbed somebody. It's him. And she's like, "What's going on?" And then as they're saying that, Karmelo's walking past or jogging past, and then she looks to the adult, the coach that, finally embraces him and goes to walking with him around the track. She looks at him like, hey, they're saying he stabbed somebody. Don't let him leave. That's when that coach kind of like puts his arm around him, not like in an aggressive way, just like, hey, son, come here. What are they saying you've done? What have you done? And that's when, as we were talking before a few weeks ago, how
everybody's
that coach
now.
is like, hey, what have you done? Hey, he put his hands on me. I told him not to. Well, if that kid dies, your life changes here forever today. Karmelo's like, he's not going to die. And the coach is like, okay, but like, if he does. And that's when that coach said he started crying and everything like that. So you had those three different narratives from prosecutor, the student witnesses, and the defense attorney inside the courtroom, all kind of echoing the same action, but different sentiments, like as to reasonings as to why he was
like, you're not getting away with that, though.
Yeah, and it's like 1 minute after the stabbing takes place, it's like he's at the exit to the track, it seems, and then he turns around
and walks into it.
And then he's talking with someone who I think is the adult, and it seems like people are just starting to understand like what happened over on the bleachers. But then he's like walking by himself, and then you see another coach come up. So it is something where, and that's what made this case, I think, really difficult for the defense and to an extent the prosecution as well, is like we just don't have anything up close other than the aftermath. And we'll talk about the body cam video and what that shows here in a moment. Going through these images, because again, I hadn't seen them until they were released. You had seen them before, and we had talked about.
It's crazy how like I feel like knives, bro. Like I know they were used like back in old days and shit, but it is crazy how like this is literally a utensil to eat food with, bro, and people literally like use this to kill people. That's just crazy. That's crazy to think about, bro.
He was this teammate of Austin Metcalf.
There's just so many people that literally died from that, bro.
At the time when the state,
and that's why I was like, too, you got to be aware of that, bro, because you never know. Like people may bring like a knife to school and they may use it to eat or something. Like maybe they buy like a steak or something. Maybe they have some Outback and they buy a steak and they bring that for lunch, and they use that same weapon to use on somebody, bro.
Was questioning him, strong prosecution witness, someone who was very close with Austin Metcalf. And if I remember correctly, he kind of backed off saying that he knew Carmelo Anthony at all. And like some points for the defense, if you want to say that, was that they were arguing that he was invited into the tent, Carmelo Anthony, because Eddie waved him over. And prosecution witness, at the time when Eddie, who is this teammate of Austin Metcalf, was, at the time when the state was questioning him, strong prosecution witness, someone who was very close with Austin Metcalf. And if I remember correctly, he kind of backed off saying
when he said that someone called him over, he used a specific person name, and then they went to him and they said that, well, he actually doesn't even know who that is.
He knew Carmelo Anthony at all.
So he might be lying
and like
about
some
that.
Points for the defense, if you want to say that, was that they were arguing that he was invited into the tent, Carmelo Anthony, because Eddie waved him over. And to prove that they had some sort of relationship, the defense presented these pictures of Eddie and Carmelo. And I was not anticipating them to look as friendly as they do in these images, where it does raise some questions as to why he wasn't more straightforward, it seems, in that moment, that he knew Carmelo Anthony through his girlfriend and they had hung out before. I mean, there's a picture here of them playing Guitar Hero together.
Maybe it's because he'd seen it happen and he just didn't want to be involved in it.
Which was not something that I was anticipating just based off what he had told the jury when the state was questioning him.
Yeah, that was a huge moment for the defense, because now it's a credibility issue, right? He's on there, we heard about Eddie in the opening statements from the defense. He was under there to see his friend Eddie. So everyone's awaiting this Eddie Parra kid. Who's this? Why, what does he have to say? And, of course, the question is, if this is your boy, if this is your friend, he's getting into an altercation under the tent. Why aren't you standing up and, hey, everyone chill. It's my guy. Like, we'll get out of here, whatever. So that was a question, just circulating in my mind.
You just got to watch who you be around, because if anybody is allowing you to do that, bro, and throw your life away like that, I don't think they really your friend like that, man. Let me be honest.
So he gets up there and he's testifying for the state, which is already interesting enough to me because the defense made a big deal about him. I expected him to be a defense witness, and then the state calls him. And then he pretty much gets up there and says, like, yeah, I knew Carmelo, but we weren't close. I wouldn't say we were great friends. Da-da-da-da-da, going along with his state's testimony. Yeah. Then the pictures you're talking about, the defense is like, not good friends. Here's 10 pictures that pretty much show otherwise. The Guitar Hero picture, the picture where they're making goofy faces. They're at Eddie's house for Eddie's grandmother's birthday. All this different stuff. So it's like, we're not trying to assume anything, but is Eddie lying? Again, the credibility issue. But the thing about it is, if Eddie's credibility is not good, does that affect the actual moment of what happened? Okay, Eddie, maybe, let's just theoretically, Eddie's not telling the truth. He's just saying whatever he wants to say. Does that have a direct correlation to what happened with the stabbing? And that, I guess that was for the jury to decide, and clearly they didn't think so, one way or the other. They sent him away for 35 years. But that was still a big issue there when the defense said, hey, we have the receipts. I don't know what you're talking about up here, but you grew up with this girl. She's dating this guy. Here's pictures of you guys together. There's other witness testimonies, states witnesses that say y'all were, not like buddy, but like, yeah, he went over to Eddie and, they kept saying dapped him up, which is like, a good handshake between the boys. Yeah. So you had testimony about you sitting next to Eddie, and one kid said he switched seats with Eddie and all that stuff. So it was a very confusing time with Eddie's time on the stand, because you heard all these differing things, and then the challenge by the defense there. So it was like, what's Eddie saying? What's the truth here?
100%, because I think when you look at these pictures, you're like, these people would be not just like friendly, but it seems like they hung out. Like the girlfriend's not even in these pictures, and like they're hanging out. You do wonder, and apparently for the jury they felt this way. It's like, okay, so even if he was invited under the tent, whether he shouldn't have been in the tent or should have been in the tent, like the jury apparently didn't really think that really mattered, where the defense seemed to argue like, look, Carmelo Anthony was invited into this tent, whether or not like track culture or anything like that mattered.
So he was, like, in the defense, they could just say he was invited under the tent, he got pushed, and he just defended himself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why he had a knife, like I said, but...
And then the defense would argue he was the victim.
And then if they have proof of like anything like before of them having altercations before that, it can be like, oh, well, I know he might be stronger than me or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I brought a weapon just in case.
Austin shouldn't have put his hands on Carmelo Anthony and all of this. Of course, when you respond with force using a knife, that's something where you just wonder, how strong of, this gotcha moment on this witness actually mattered at the end of the day. Speaking of the knife, we have seen it now for the first time. And I'll say, like, this isn't, it's a pocket knife, but it's not like a Swiss Army knife that you would use. I know we talked about, like, oh, maybe he likes going camping, and they could argue that. I mean, this is, I'm not a knife owner myself of something like this.
Enthusiast about it, but
right, this is not like a Boy Scout Swiss Army knife that you would have on a keychain back in the day. And I just wonder how much, when this was shown to the jury, does that, because it comes off as an intimidating knife, when you look at it.
And so we didn't see the knife.
I wonder too, like, if they could see in the video, like, if he had his hands in his pockets. You feel what I'm saying? Because they could probably, if they see that his hands was in his pockets, they could probably use that as a thing too, like that he was already like ready to do that.
Used in the act. We saw an exact replica. Like, so the evidence knife, I guess they have that at wherever they have it at, stored at the police station or wherever. But we saw an exact replica of it, and they were doing demonstrations. And so they saw a picture of the knife used, obviously, and you saw the body cam of the police saying, hey, there's still blood and bone fragments on this knife, when they saw it in the bleachers. Because, there was that rumor around that it was a cleat tool that he stabbed him with. And so that was swiftly debunked inside the courtroom. No, this knife is on body cam. Here it is on pictures with blood still kind of on it. Anyway, when they brought the replica knife up, got brought up during an officer's testimony.
They do this for teenagers too?
Oh, this tool that he stabbed him with. And so that was swiftly debunked inside the courtroom. No, this knife is on body cam. Here it is on pictures with blood still kind of on it. Anyway, when they brought the replica
for stuff like, I think he was already in jail. I was gonna say, like, will he still go to school?
Knife up. Got brought up during an officer's testimony, and so the prosecutor and the officer got in front of the jury box, right in front of the jury, feet away. They could reach out and touch them, just showing the knife how you can, the thumb stopper, you can flip it up with one hand if you wanted to, because that was another thing about the speed at which this stabbing happened. Some kids said they turned away, they looked back, and now Austin's on the ground with a hole in his chest. It was just so fast. But one thing that I took away from that testimony from this officer is when they were doing the demonstrations, it kind of, if you weren't listening, you might not have caught it, right? The prosecutor asked him, oh yeah, heavy duty knife? Yes, sir. This is the kind you kind of carry when you're on duty. Oh yeah, we use this for cutting seat belts and things like that. Whoa. It was just a real quick moment. It wasn't like a real emphasized moment, but I was like, maybe he was asking that to show, like, this is a sharp knife. I mean, how thick a seatbelt can be when you're cutting people out of car crashes and things like that. And I'm pretty sure the point was to show, like, hey, but on-duty officers carry knives like this. This might not be the most casual.
How do you get access to that?
Clearly, you can buy this knife probably in your local Walmart or anything like that. It's not like you have to go on and be, a Marine veteran to get this knife, but 100%. Just showing that it's not, like, to your point, not some little Boy Scout knife, the little red cylinder with the little flip out, and maybe have some scissors and a corkscrew in there. This was a real knife here.
I don't know that.
Well, and it kind of goes to one of the questions that I think we talked about not really being answered, because it's like, this is not an illegal knife we've learned to have in Texas. It's against school policy, but it's not illegal with the length of which, how long it is for him to have it. But when you look at it, the question that comes to your mind is, why would you bring this to a track meet? And that's still, even if that's not something where, like, look, he wasn't charged with any weapons offenses, but it just didn't seem like that was really answered. And like, I feel like shit, just to kind of do,
like, if you get attempted murder or murder in general, like, I don't really think you need any other charge at that point.
But if I was in the jury, like, when you look at a knife like this, you're like, why would you bring that to a track meet beyond the fact that question was already?
But that's what I said. They might have either had like conversations before this, or like, I don't know. I just don't feel like he naturally just carries this, because he would have got, like, I guarantee you in high school you get searched at least sometime before. Like, there's no way he would continuously have this knowing he'll get searched. So it's probably track meets is usually after school. So maybe he just knew that he was gonna have that competition with him because he knew this team he was gonna play against in the track meet, and then he just bought it just in case. You feel me? Maybe they had a conversation before. But like I said, so far they still have not told us the reason why he was. Like, why he had a problem. I mean, I guess they didn't have any problems before this?
In the first place. And the other part, too, wasn't it argued that he already had this open in his backpack? What was that? I'm trying to remember.
It wasn't, specified, because no one really knows. But to the point I was making just a second ago, the speed at which the stab happened, they were pretty much saying, some of these student witnesses, and the prosecution, of course, was compounding upon it, was that, the whole touch me and see what happens. His hands in the bag for, however many seconds it was in the bag before everything went down.
In the bag.
They're trying to say that, put his hand on the knife, opened it while it was in the bag, So once whatever he felt was going to happen, the knife was ready to go.
So it was
right?
that wasn't, so it wasn't in his pocket, it was in his bag. But how was his bag over by their stuff?
And, as a fact, obviously, the defense was saying, oh, it was just a warning and this and that. But the speed at which people were saying this happened, like in the blink of an eye, they didn't realize, like, even the people who were watching what happened.
So it seemed like he was pretty much going to do it anyway, or he just knew he was basically provoking them to it. Like, okay, do this, and you're going to see, you feel me? And then just do it, you feel me?
So Austin shoves, whatever
but
happens.
It wasn't like I'm scared for you to do this, but I want to see if you will. He was like, okay, do it. You're going to see. Just go ahead and do it. You feel me? Because he already had that plan in his head. He was going to do it either way.
They did not realize Austin was stabbed.
And then even if he didn't do it, he'll probably still provoke him like, oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, all right. Yeah, you feel me?
He lifted his shirt and blood more maddening. So that was the whole argument there. Like, this knife had to have been opened when it was in the bag. And that was the point of when they were doing the demonstration with the cop, showing, because he's holding the bag with one hand's in the bag, that you could flip it open.
But I don't know. Just even then, like, it's just some things are just survival skills, bro. If you see somebody say, oh, yeah, all right, you're going to see. Try this. You're going to see in their hands in their pockets, hands in their bag, wherever it's in. You feel me? You just got to be aware.
One hand, like with ease.
But I'm not saying it's fault, but it's just in general.
You didn't have to take two hands to open it up and then, assume whatever position you're going to assume with it. So that was the whole discussion about that. But again, there was no definitive evidence saying, hey, this knife was opened.
And then just lastly, the body cam video. And we see the video that's been released, the body cam. You have the officer who was the first one to interact with Karmelo Anthony. And then there's another 17-second clip that shows the infamous moment, if you will, that was definitely shocking to read in police documents when he says, I'm not alleged, I did it, something along those lines. And you hear him say that for the first time.
But did he say that he said that first before he said that he touched him first, or he did that after?
It was surprising.
I feel like it wasn't significant if he already said that he touched him first.
I don't know, shocking. I mean, you think of the emotional moment, the coach who said, well, if he dies, you're going to change your life forever. And it's like there's moments where Karmelo Anthony is so calm to the point where he can say, it's not just I'm not alleged. He says, hey, I know how this goes. I'm not alleged. I did it. But then as he get cuffs, there's like this shot of emotion and you hear him in this like,
but I just feel like him even just saying that is automatically making him look guilty. Like they automatically knew, okay, yeah, he's gonna be locked up. You feel me? Boy, even just what he said, like, even if he didn't do it, him just saying.
But then, like within 15 seconds, he's saying his name very calmly to the police. It was just, again, he's probably in shock with kind of realizing what was happening in that moment. But it was just It's just, I don't know. What was your reaction when you saw that for the first time?
They probably just thought he was going to die.
How he was in those moments.
Yeah, it was kind of a stark dichotomy, Chris, because he's been painted out to be by the prosecution, this murderer, right? This kid who had a knife here. He intended to do these things. He went over provoking a fight to use this knife. And so when they play this body cam, and we'd heard about the "I'm not alleged, I did it" thing, but when I heard the crying part, when his voice is shaking and he clearly sounds like he's emotional. When I heard that, I was like, oh, maybe there is, this heavy remorse here. He's made the worst mistake you could possibly make on this green earth. But at the same time, it's like it was a weird sensation. I've heard all this other stuff, and then it's like, wait,
and he put a point, and then he realized, like, okay, I did it, but he probably will survive, so I'll be all right. And I just say self-defense. And then once that coach was like, all right, well, if he dies, then shit, your life gonna change. He was like, oh, well, damn. You feel me? Now he's like, okay, well, now he's got to survive. That's why he asked if he was all right. And that's pretty much probably what happens to all of the people that murder people.
There's a little bit of emotion about it. But to your point again, 15 seconds later, he's like, oh, yeah, my name's this. He's spelling his name out. I go to Centennial High School. Everything's fine, whatever.
I wonder if it was people told him,
of course, people process things differently, like that, right? I mean, you've just stabbed somebody. Unbeknownst to him at the time, he didn't know it was to death, but you just stabbed somebody at 17 years old. So I imagine the mental gymnastics going on with that. But hearing that crying,
if he had influences from like music and stuff,
I don't know if shocking is the right word, but I didn't expect it. And the court, I'm looking around when we're hearing that, the jury's kind of looking at each other, and because
like
we hadn't heard anything about that. And the fact that he's sitting there, he was kind of emotionless throughout the entire trial, of course, till the verdict came down. But hearing that emotion, but then, the prosecution harped on, was it, performative in the moment? Because a few seconds later, everything's fine, not fine, but everything's mellow, everything's calm.
I mean, you never know. It might just be his mental health. He probably goes through that type of stuff, or not necessarily that type of stuff, but just he's used to going through something, and it's all normal, and just, you feel me?
Circumstances. So again, just a stark contrast here when you heard that, and then a few seconds later, yeah, I'm not alleged I did it. Everything's cool. This is my age. I go to this school. Blah blah blah. Just a weird difference there.
It is. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it, because it was just, as you watch all this, you're also realizing this is Austin Metcalf's final moments. Mm-hmm. And this is Karmelo Anthony as a free person. And I know he was out on bond, but now 35 years, if he serves the full sentence, he'll be out in his mid-50s. And just to kind of see all of it now and put it together, it's just, it was a lot to take in. Cody Thomas from Court TV, great job covering this trial. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We appreciate it.
And as always, I appreciate you for having me, man. Happy to do it.
Karmelo Anthony has filed a notice that he plans to appeal his murder conviction. That will do it for On the Case, presented by...
All right, we're going to just watch the second video. I like long videos. I just want to see a couple comments. He went from guilty to his he didn't have a problem with intent of committing murder. Welcome to the days when people fought with their hands. Questions that were nearly simultaneous. All right. Let's see this video now. It was a lot of videos, but I already really knew a little bit about it. So I just got to the point. But let's see this. But if y'all want to watch the actual videos, it's in the description. And we also are gonna watch this video tomorrow too. Fully R.I.P. All right, let's see this. Damn, this shit taking long to load, ain't it?
Karmelo Anthony is not going quietly into his 35-year prison sentence for murder.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
Now, a powerhouse defense team is fighting to undo the verdict that branded Karmelo Anthony a killer. What started as a track meet confrontation ended with a fatal stab wound and a murder conviction.
I know how it goes. I'm not alleged. Okay.
The case appears closed, but Anthony's new defense team is preparing a challenge that could put the entire verdict back under the microscope. We're On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
All right. Let's see what Chris Stewart has for us today. For the second part.
Right now, Karmelo Anthony is currently living in a rural Texas medium security prison. It's about 3.5 hours south of Frisco, Texas. That is where Anthony used to live. It is where Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest at a track meet. And it was a wound that killed Austin Metcalf. And of course, this all happened, and we've talked about this story a lot, after Karmelo Anthony ended up under the tent of Metcalf's team at this track meet, and he wouldn't leave. The state said that Metcalf then confronted Karmelo Anthony, that he shoved Karmelo Anthony, and Anthony responded with a knife that was in his backpack, striking Austin Metcalf and giving him an injury that the medical examiner says there is no way that Austin Metcalf would have survived.
I wonder too if
and the jury, it only took them 3 hours to determine Karmelo Anthony's fate, and it was that he was guilty of murder. But now, Karmelo Anthony has a high-profile team of lawyers who are preparing to challenge that verdict. We received an email from the Stand with Karmelo Coalition, and this email announced 6 lawyers will conduct a fresh, independent review of the trial record. It goes on to say, quote, "We recognize the profound loss suffered by one young man's family and the uncertainty facing another. And we extend our respect to everyone whose lives have been forever changed by these events." So this team of lawyers, they will be serving pro bono, according to the email. Now, we're going to go through what makes this team so high profile and potentially high powered in just a moment. But first, I do want to go through some of these new images that we have in this case.
I know how it goes. I'm not alleged.
Okay,
this is body cam video from one of the first officers to confront Karmelo Anthony after he stabbed Austin Metcalf at this track meet. This body cam captures the moment that Anthony made this now infamous statement, quote, "I'm not alleged, I did it." And you heard it clear as day on that body cam.
I did.
Now, the court has released a large amount of evidence that was shown to jurors during the trial, including body cam footage and surveillance video. Now, because cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom, the public is now only getting to see what the jury saw. Now, here is the only known video of the moment where Anthony stabs Austin Metcalf under the tent. And it's from a camera that was mounted on top of the football stadium where this track meet was going on in April of 2025. Now, the state argued that Karmelo had no reason to be under Austin's team's tent. Now, the defense argued that Karmelo knew someone there and he was welcomed under the tent. But what happens next is Austin Metcalf reportedly tells Karmelo Anthony to leave, and when Anthony didn't, words were exchanged, and Metcalf puts his hands on Karmelo and shoves him. And you can see, it's very blurry, but you can see that shove in the surveillance video. Now, that shove was met with a stabbing from Karmelo Anthony. He pulled a knife out from his backpack and stabbed Anthony in the chest.
He said that he told him, like, he was like, do this and I'm going to do it. So, like, he pushed him and then he said that? Or he just said that before he pushed him? Like, I'm kind of...
And again, it was a wound so severe, a stab wound to the heart, that the medical examiner said there is no way Austin Metcalf could have survived. In fact, the medical examiner said if there was an operating table right there with a surgeon, it is not likely that Austin Metcalf would have survived that injury. He died on the track. Karmelo, he ditched the knife and he ran. His defense argued it was because he was afraid for himself. He was just trying to get away from the situation. Now, here is more body cam video of what happened next when officers confronted him on the track.
So nothing on your person at all? No, nothing? No, sir. Mind if I reach in your pockets and stuff and all that? Nothing gonna stab me? No, sir. Okay.
I'm gonna be out with
his phone and something else.
I'm gonna get a little personal there, okay? Just to make sure.
My car's right there.
Okay. Yeah. You want me to get up now?
So you want me to get up?
All right. The victim's gonna be underneath that tent over there, so I'll get medics.
I think he was analyzing.
Memorial tent over there, guys. All right.
He put his hands on me. I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
What's happening right now?
See, I told him not to. He put his hands on me.
Over here on the north end, they got staff standing to him right now. This is the alleged suspect. All right.
I want to know, like, if Austin didn't put his hands on him, what he would have did. Because I feel like he probably would have still did it anyway. I feel like he just would have provoked him, and he would have did it anyway. Or he would have just waited until he could again. But he just went to self-defense. That's why he told him to do. He went to self-defense thing. Like, I feel like a lot of people think self-defense is so much easier than it sounds. Like, they just think, oh, if someone's pushed me and I do this to them, then it's like, you know, like use like lethal force or the shooting, knife, whatever, like, you know, crowbar, whatever. They think they can just do that and it'll be automatically self-defense, it'll be good. But that's just not how it works, bro. Y'all do your research, man. Or just don't get in these type of situations in the first place. You know? No, thanks, so.
Up to you. It's up to you.
That's fine. This is closer.
Okay. Let me do one more little check of you, okay? Yes, sir. You don't mind for reaching your pockets, anything like that? You good?
You're just wearing this one pair of pants?
I'm wearing some little underpants.
Oh yeah, but did it have pockets?
No, ma'am, I don't think so.
What does it have pockets in the underpants?
What's your name, man?
Karmelo Anthony, Karmelo.
Okay.
It says breathing? Is that what it says?
Watch your head. Let me check your hood here, buddy, okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll tell you what, lean this way.
Wait, so they said no cameras were allowed in the court. Is it because he's younger? Or is he just like...
All right, see a little bit of blood on your hands there, okay? All right. So your first name is Karmelo?
Yes, sir. Karmelo.
Let's see, hold on one second.
Is he gonna be okay?
I don't know yet, man. Karmelo, C-A-R-A...
K-A-R.
K-A-R...
M-E-L-O.
M-E-L-O, Karmelo. What's your last name?
Anthony.
A-N-T-H... O-N-Y. Where are you in?
I'm in 10th grade.
10th grade? You go to Emerson?
No, sir.
Where do you go? Centennial. Okay.
I'm in 12th grade.
12th grade?
Yes.
Okay, nice and penny. All right, sit tight for me real quick, bud, all right?
Guys, real quick, running a business is tough enough, but
Yeah, this name give me ass. Where's the rest of the body cam though?
why make it harder doing things manually or seamless decision making? So take that Odu to the testimony and took the juror. Karmelo Anthony's trial lasted 4 days. When it came to the testimony, it took the jurors about 3 hours to find him guilty of murder. Then it was another 3 hours that same day, roughly, for them to determine that his punishment would be 35 years in state prison. It could have been as many as 99 years. Now, the day after his sentence, Karmelo Anthony filed a notice of appeal from prison, and he wrote in that notice of appeal that he doesn't have the money for an attorney. But that doesn't appear to be an issue any longer because he has this pro bono team of lawyers now in his corner. So let's go through this team of lawyers. According to the Stand With Karmelo Coalition, the team is led by Dallas Appellate Attorney Russell Wilson II, who once led the Dallas County District Attorney's Conviction Integrity Unit. And according to the DA's website, one of that unit's jobs is to send out, quote, mass notifications where systemic errors affected or potentially affected the judicial process. You also have Austin-based attorney Gary Bledsoe, who is the president of the Texas NAACP, and he's been in that position since 2001. And he is, quote, admitted to practice before the U.S. Supreme Court and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Next, you have Michael Ware, who's a Fort Worth-based attorney and former prosecutor, and he's the executive director of the Innocence Project of Texas. He was inducted into the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers Hall of Fame last year.
That's the thing.
With them, civil rights attorney Brooke Clues, who is a former Houston public defender, and she is now chief of staff for high-profile civil rights attorney Ben Crump.
He just go from no money to pay for him, and he got the little like top 5 best in the world. Bro.
And another high-profile lawyer on the team is Sean Daradia, who is based in Dallas, and he's had multiple clients acquitted in high-profile murder cases, and he serves as a TV legal analyst. And finally, you have trial lawyer Justin Moore. He's also based in Dallas, and his description reads, quote, he has represented clients in high-profile criminal and civil rights matters, including securing the acquittal of a teenager charged and falsely accused of capital murder. So it does seem to be a very high-profile team. The question, of course, becomes, what might they actually be able to do to overturn the conviction of Karmelo Anthony, and what happens next?
Like they could
join us out to talk more about this from Texas, criminal defense attorney Anthony Asso. Always great to have you on Law and Crime. So
if you're that high profile, like when it comes to this, like what makes other people want to even be an attorney, bro? Because I feel like everybody's going to count on you. You feel me? So it's like they might do something, even if they purposely do something and just know, okay, well, if I go get these attorneys, they might be able to save me out of this. You feel me? So I'm just do that, and then they might actually get out of that. You feel me? But like I just be I be confused on like what certain attorneys do that other attorneys don't that will allow people to get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference between one person and another person when it comes to that?
Prosecutor on this case, you look at this lineup, how nervous are you that this conviction may actually not stick?
Well, as a prosecutor, hopefully you're not nervous, right? I mean, I think from a prosecutor standpoint, you should be bringing cases to trial that you feel the state has evidence to prove, right? And you've got to trust that your line lawyers, the trial lawyers in that case, did what they were supposed to do, right? Which, in addition to trying to get the verdict they want and the sentence they want, is also making sure the record is clean so that the conviction sticks for decades to come.
And what happens now? I know that Karmelo Anthony filed a notice of appeal, and then we got the update here of who his attorneys are going to be on the appeals process. What do they do next?
Right, so it's just a timeline. You have to file the notice of appeal within a time period, and then from that point, they'll get a scheduling order of when
so if you don't do an appeal, you just accept it? Like you just accept what you have? Or
appeal is filed, and
because you only have a certain amount of time, so you just don't do it. You just say fuck it.
At that point, the court will review it. They'll probably need to get a transcript, a trial record, and the court will have to go through that, and they'll make their decisions regarding the appeals after reviewing the record. But I just feel like
life is decision making, bro. You know, if either you're going to do the right things or you're not. Either you're going to be consistent on what you do and doing the right thing, or you won't. You feel me?
Both parties' arguments, both the state and the defense's
decision making
arguments regarding the appeal.
Making the best decision for yourself.
Because post verdict, we've seen so much debate from people who were just following this case to columnists of all different kinds, legal analysts about the facts of the case and everything that went down in the trial. And then, now the body cam and surveillance video was released in the last couple of days. So people are looking at that too. But in an appeals process, like what will Carmelo Anthony's team actually be looking at to determine whether or not he would get a new trial and whether this conviction could actually be overturned?
So they're going to be looking at the record itself, Chris. This isn't going to be a situation like much of the public is doing, where they're looking at, well, why didn't the defense argue this or why didn't they argue that? What they're going to look at is really errors within the record, both constitutional errors and structural errors. So did the judge allow hearsay in against the defense's objection? Was there a jury charge instruction that was let in that shouldn't have been let in? I think we'll probably see an objection to the judge's ruling on the Batson challenge. The defense did object. They did make a Batson objection, and the judge overruled that objection. So I'm sure we'll see that as being one of the issues that the court rules on, in addition to a number of other issues, probably a sufficiency of the evidence argument, and then various other pieces of evidence that probably came in that the defense will re-urge their objection on the appeal.
Because there have been people who have looked at the jury selection process. We've heard the term Batson challenge over the last couple of days since this verdict came in. For people who are just kind of following along, may not be lawyers, what exactly is a Batson challenge, and what Carmelo Anthony's team would have to prove for that to be successful?
Sure. So in jury selection, you cannot make you can't strike somebody on the basis of gender or race. You have to have a gender or race neutral reason for striking that person. So in an instance of a trial, if the prosecution strikes a few, we'll use in this case, for example, they strike a few black jurors, then the defense might think, hey, well, the prosecution struck black jurors because they're black. And so they can make a Batson challenge. The burden then shifts to the state to provide the court with gender neutral,
But why would
race
they
neutral.
have it to where it's not gender neutral in the first place? I thought gender was like, isn't that like men and female? What do you mean gender? I don't know.
Neutral reasons for having
It's
struck
called gender race, I guess.
black jurors. And so in this case, I think the state argued that they struck these jurors because they were
But like,
educated.
how would that work? Because it's like with jurors, like would it have to be like both races? Like would it have to do, like, say for example it's 15 jurors, would it have to be 5 black jury girls, 5 black juror men, white, and you know what I'm saying? Or would it, like, how does that work to make it like
of young children or kids? And so they felt that they would, because they were educators of young children or kids, and so they felt that they wouldn't be good jurors in this case because they might be more sympathetic to Mr. Anthony. And the court found that was a sufficient race neutral reason and overruled the defense's objection.
When it comes to some of the work that this team of 6 attorneys and again very accomplished,
I learned more from this than I did from history class.
Lawyers,
Well, not history class. I'll give history class this credit. I'll give history class.
when it comes to the work that and again very accomplished lawyers, it seems. When it comes to the work that they're going to do, because in the notice of appeal, Carmelo Anthony, says that he doesn't have any money, which makes sense. He's 18, 19 years old, and he is now an inmate in Texas State Prison, doesn't have a job.
Will he be able to, like, damn, because that's kind of crazy. Well, I mean, they can't use their own money anyway, but it's like if he gets arrested, he can't work. So, like, and even if he does, like, get out, he probably still can't work. But, like, how would he pay? Like, I don't think he would pay for his lawyers anyway. So what does he mean he can't buy it? Like, is it just like he's talking for his family? Like,
career on the outside of it. He had just graduated high school. Like, how does, assuming that this team, for all the prestige they have, they're doing this pro bono, and if it's like the full force of all their law firms,
but I just feel like too, that's not really fair in a certain way too, because it's like if certain families or just certain people don't have enough money, like if they get put in these cases, they just have less of an advantage when it, like, not advantage, but like it's just like not really fair for them, because it feels like, well, they don't have enough money, they probably can't get the best attorney, and then that way it'll be like easier for them to get locked up and stuff like that. So I feel like that's not necessarily fair.
What does that get you in an appeal?
So I feel like you shouldn't have to pay for one, like if you're a certain age. Like I feel like if you're like, say if you're like 30, okay, you got to pay for one. But if I feel like if you're under the age of like 20, 23-ish, like you shouldn't have to necessarily like. I feel like like when they say a brain develop, I feel like if you're under that age, you shouldn't necessarily. Well, no, because I feel like at a certain age, you just got to be realistic with yourself. But I feel like I said, if you're still in high school or like anything under 20, I feel like you shouldn't have to pay for a lawyer yourself, or like your family shouldn't. I feel like that's fair. Because I feel like even if your family is wealthy, I feel like they're not likely to just have money saved up for you to have a lawyer. You feel me?
Process as you go
And then
through the
like all the
record
other court
compared
things
to
you have to do.
someone maybe more of someone
But
who
do
doesn't
you
have
like
the
pay lawyers once, like just once, or like what if you have to go to retrial? Like, do you pay them again? Like, how does that?
national recognition on their case, and they're just kind of going through the appeals process, as I'm sure a lot of people
And
who
like,
have been
what if you pay them
convicted
and they
of
don't want
crimes
to
end
do
up doing.
Well, with a team like this, you should expect they're going to lift up every rug and they're going to look under every rock and make sure that no stone's unturned. And a lot of what they're doing, because it's a serious hurdle in an appeal, right? Because with these constitutional errors, sure, something might be wrong, but not only does the defense have to prove that something went wrong, a piece of evidence was let in, a juror was allowed to testify regarding certain conduct, an instruction got into the jury charge. They also have to prove that there was harm, that error caused harm, and but for that error, we would have or could have had a different verdict. And
so like it's kind of like crazy too, because if they didn't allow you to go like appeal or retrial, because I'm assuming he probably appealed because like he knew he was able to get more lawyers. But like if you can't do that, there'll be so many people in jail that never really got a real free chance of like getting out, bro. And this is crazy too. Like after we've seen those jail videos, I actually got another jail video from Tommy G to the watch. It's like too like there's probably a lot of people in jail right now or prison, whichever one it is, that didn't even get a trial yet. And it's like they probably will never really have like, and they've been in it for years, and they'll probably never really have a real free chance of like actually getting out, bro. Because imagine like you get locked up for something that you didn't do, or you just get locked up and you know what I'm saying, you could have had a lawyer that'll get you out of it, and you had to wait years to just even get a lawyer to even go to the trial, and then you go to the trial, you get out, and you just basically wasted like multiple years in prison for no reason. You feel me? So I kind of feel like that's not really fair too.
It's a really high burden for a defendant on an appeal, but they're also preserving the appellate record for potential appeals down the line, post-conviction appeals like post-conviction writs of habeas corpus and things of that nature.
Who eventually, because obviously it was a jury of his peers, and I know people have debated the racial makeup. It was majority white, wasn't an all white jury, but a majority white jury that made this decision.
Like too, like if like in this case, right? Say I forgot his name. The one that got stabbed. Say like he was in an area with a lot of white people. You feel me? Not even Tiberius, I'm just being honest. Like if he's in an area with a lot of white people, right? It's like if there was no real black people there. And it's also too like if even if he was around black people, but they were all on his side, how would it be fair to Karmelo though? You feel me? Because like if he's already with a lot of white people, how are they gonna get other black witnesses if there wasn't other witnesses that were black? You feel me? Like how would that really work? Or is it like because he said it was the jurors or like the people that were there. So if it was, you feel me? And then like why did no coaches go in there? Like why was it only just kids? Or even if, because that way, even like if they just didn't like Karmelo, they could still just lie.
Judge stands by the decision. Who, as they prepare the appeal process, like who eventually or the group of people are the ones who would determine whether or not this conviction sticks?
Well, it'll be the appellate court justices. And so they'll look back. First, the appellate lawyers for Mr. Anthony are going to have to make the arguments. They're going to have to raise these issues. The issues that they raise are going to have to be issues that were previously raised in trial for the most part, right? And that's why it's so important, like I talked about earlier with the prosecutors and keeping a clean record, it is crucial that the defense attorneys in this case make the objections when necessary because they know they've got to preserve this record for appeal so that they can give the appellate lawyers the ammunition they need to make the objections to the appellate court. But ultimately, it will be the justices. They'll be looking at the rulings from the verdict by the jury as well as the rulings by the court and determine whether this conviction sticks.
Yeah, I think he was like calm too because he felt like he was going to get out.
That is a really
like he would feel me?
The judge.
Like maybe his parents were like, "Oh, I got you some lawyers. Don't worry, son, I'm gonna get you out." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Oh, sure.
Use the trial court's rulings and the jury's verdict in a very deferential matter. So it's really light most favorable to the evidence that was presented at trial.
But like I said, they said there was no weapon charges, so it doesn't seem like they really cared that he had the knife. It was just that he used it in such a force for the situation.
Because there's been a lot of criticism for just people who've
And
been
like I said, I think they can't like change it up. So if he does pass the murder, if he gets out of it, he gets out. They can't just charge him with the gun charge or the knife charge after that. Like, that's not how it works.
following along with this trial of the defense of
They might
Karmelo
think,
Anthony. You're a criminal defense attorney. I'm not. As you know, it's a really hard job and like kind of Monday morning quarterbacking and in a situation as serious as this, it isn't fair a lot of times. But as you know, of the criticism for just people. Because there's been a lot of criticism for just people who've been following along with this trial of the defense of Karmelo Anthony. You're a criminal defense attorney. I'm not. As you know, it is a really hard job and like kind of Monday morning quarterbacking and in a situation as serious as this.
It's crazy how much attorneys have in someone's life, bro. Like their freedom.
Isn't fair a lot of times.
Crazy job, dude.
But there is the decision that was made, and whatever went into that decision, it's kind of unclear of why Karmelo Anthony did not testify in his own defense, since he was, really the closest witness to what happened. And if you're alleging that you were afraid for your life and you needed to do this to protect yourself and all of that, I think jurors would have really liked to see that. First off, let's just talk about that decision in and of itself. Like, what did you make of the decision for Karmelo Anthony not to be on the stand?
Well, I agree with you, Chris. I think any juror is going to want to see that. And I'm sure the defense probably went over that issue during jury selection and weeded out or tried to weed out the jurors that would hold that against the defendant if he didn't testify. But people slip through the cracks.
But is it possible for if say he wanted to do that, like he wants to be on the stand, and like the people that he was defending him were like, nah, don't do that, like just let me take care of this. You feel me? Like, are they allowed to do that, or like they can't? Like,
I think in this day and age, if you're arguing self-defense, people want to hear, well, what made you so scared that you felt the need to use a knife in a fist fight, which it wasn't even really a fist fight according to the testimony we heard. So I think it's that judgment call is something the general public may never have the true insight on, because we weren't with the defense team. You've got to assume that they were preparing Mr. Anthony to testify for trial. And if they didn't feel like he would be a good witness, or they felt that he would do himself more harm than he would benefit, then you've got to make a judgment call as a defense attorney. And in certain instances, defendants just don't want to testify. So there's a lot that goes into that decision. But again, I agree with you. I think in this kind of case where...
I just if you aren't guilty, why would you not, if you're not guilty, why would you not want to tell them, the story?
Facts aren't necessarily on your side. You have prosecution...
Especially after him saying that he did it, or, you know what I'm saying?
This is talking about provocation. You as the defendant really need to get up on the stand and tell your side of the story.
And I don't know if this is what happened. I don't know if when they went into a back room and they're deciding it, maybe it was Karmelo Anthony who said, I just don't want to do this. I don't think I need to. We're unclear. But when it comes to the appeals process, if the defense team looked at Karmelo and said, you should not testify in your own defense, and maybe that was the wrong decision, is that something that could be made into the appeals process, that he just got bad advice in that situation? It was a bad strategic decision and things could have been a lot different had he taken the stand.
So
I feel like he'll probably always think of this too. If he doesn't get out, he would probably think, damn, well, if I wasn't gonna get out, I might as well have just told my side of the story, and they probably would have felt away. Especially too because he's younger, so he probably could get out of it. You feel me?
Chris, it wouldn't. That would be an ineffective assistance of counsel claim that would likely be brought up during the habeas corpus part of an appeal. But assuming that we were there, that's probably not going to be a winner argument, because the attorney's going to provide an affidavit and state that here was our strategy based on the evidence that we had, the evidence that was in at trial, and our woodshedding in preparation of the defendant. We did not feel that it was the best strategic decision for him to testify. That's different than if the defendant wanted to.
Okay. So if they said that he wanted to do it and they just told him not to, then that's different than if he wanted to do it. Hold on, what?
And they forced him not to. Right?
Yeah. So if he wanted to and they forced him not to, is different than if they just said, oh, well, this evidence strategically, I think it'll be better for you just not to do it. And he's like, okay, I won't do it. And then they'll do it for him. You feel me?
Because in the end of the day, the defendant has the absolute right to go to trial. They've got the absolute right to testify in their defense. And so if they didn't provide him that opportunity, then that would be a cognizable claim for an ineffective assistance of counsel argument.
Okay.
Because I'm sure every you go into a prison and you talk to people about how their trials went. A lot of people probably weren't thrilled with their defense with just the outcome of how it went. Like, what is?
But that's like, I mean, you got to realize you putting your whole freedom in those people's hands, bro. So you got to think
when
about
it comes to ineffective assistance.
Because is there not a way that you can just like have them like you say your own side and they like go from there, or
counsel? Like, what does that actually look like in effective appeals claims?
It's an unfortunately really low bar. I think that there's a case where a defense attorney was asleep during trial and was not found to be ineffective.
Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, dog. Yeah. See? Oh, hell no. You fucking sleeping, nigga? See, that's why I told y'all, bro. And that's why I just wouldn't even trust that. Because at the end of the day, you gotta realize all these attorneys are going home, bro, to their families after this. You feel me? And they have so many other cases they have to do. So if you just so happen to slip out and just have to spend the rest of your life in prison, they don't care. It really has nothing to do with them. You feel me? That's why, like, I would, like, it just depends, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I would rather, like, somebody in my family be an attorney and do that rather than just some random people. Even if you have a big ass credibility, bro. Like, as soon as I see a nigga sleeping in my shit, my fault. As soon as I see a nigga sleeping in my shit, man, hell nah, man. Let me get on the stand and talk, man. You wildin', man. What the fuck you sleeping for? That's why it just shows you just have any, like, you just chilling, bro. Like, this shit don't mean nothing to you. Shit, y'all ass finna go home and sleep good, probably with your kids, your wife. You feel me? The hell nah, man. What the fuck you sleeping for?
Not found to have provided ineffective assistance of counsel. So, but on the less extreme side of things.
But what does that mean? Like, not like the sense of count. Like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean they just like? I don't like. I get what he's saying that like they didn't do it. Like they didn't help him right. How they told him they were gonna help him. But like,
as a defense attorney, you've got to make judgment calls based on your experience and based on what's been put into evidence.
I would put hope in it if you've been in this for years. Like, if you've been in this for 20, 30 years, I mean, I would hope that if this is my first time going, the least you could do is do something. Should you been here for this long?
And so the courts really do provide a lot of deference to the decisions made by the lawyers. And so it's a really high bar. It's hard to overcome that. Which is why it's really important for any appellate lawyer to make sure that there's a distinction in their argument of was he advised not to testify and chose not to, or was he truly not provided the opportunity to testify? And I don't think we have the latter in this instance. I'm pretty sure probably that he was advised not to testify by his lawyers and took their advice.
When it comes to 35 years in prison is the full sentence.
Same too, like one thing, like, so if they tell him not to do it, right? He's like, okay, I don't want to do it. Do they still hear his side of the story, or they just go based off the evidence? You feel me? Because if they still hear his side of the story, he might as well just tell it himself at that point.
He'll have to serve like 17 and a half.
Yes.
How long does the appeals process, like for this case, like, how long are we looking until you kind of see the arguments made and whether there could be a decision on whether or not maybe they find something we don't know, but I guess how long does this appeals process typically take?
The appeals process on a 35-year sentence can take a really long time. Now, there's stages of the appeal process. There's the direct appeal, and then there's the post-conviction appeal. And so the direct appeal is a lot quicker than the post-conviction appeal. When the appellate court affirms the trial court's decision,
8 o'clock right now?
Then the case that's deemed a conviction, and then the defendant under Texas law would be the post-conviction. Now, there's a process on a 35-year sentence can take a really long time. Now, there's stages of the appeal process. There's the direct appeal, and then there's the post-conviction appeal. And so the direct appeal is a lot quicker than the post-conviction appeal. When the appellate court affirms the trial court's decision, then the case that's deemed a conviction, and then the defendant, under Texas law, would be entitled to file a post-conviction writ of habeas corpus under 1107.
Hold on, man.
Conviction
I ain't gonna
trial
cap.
court's a lot quicker, and so the direct appeal is a lot quicker than the post-conviction appeal. When the appellate court affirms the trial court's decision, then the case that's deemed a conviction, and then the defendant, under Texas law, would be entitled to file a post-conviction writ of habeas corpus under 1107. That process takes a lot longer because in that process, it actually allows the parties to investigate and create a record. They can get affidavits from new witnesses. They can get affidavits from witnesses that may have provided the defense evidence that the defense chose not to use in trial. They can get affidavits from the defense attorneys themselves where they're explaining the strategy behind their decisions in trial. And so you build a lot larger record. That investigation takes time. And you can file, in certain instances, you can file more than one writ of habeas corpus. So that can take decades.
So even, I mean, I know, like, let's just say he was out in 17 and a half years. I mean, how likely is it that he's out before his appeal process could even go the full length?
On a case like this, it's probably, I mean, 17 and a half years is a long time for any case.
Right.
Because that 17 and a half years, he will do day for day. So it's likely that he will exhaust his appeals before that date comes. Once that date comes, once you're paroled out, then the issue sort of becomes a moot. And you don't have, the court no longer has jurisdiction to hear the appeal. So it's a possibility that if the appellate court affirms the decision or the ruling, the jury verdict, and it goes into habeas proceedings, that could take a very long time. So it sort of just depends on a case-by-case basis.
I'm so smooth. Let me just keep it smooth with everybody. I don't even know who he's talking about. I'm gonna be real. But, I mean, yeah, because, I mean, he lost me after he said, like, even when you get out, you still got to do that little appeal shit. Yeah, that's where he lost me. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest. But, like, are they saying, like, if he does 17 years, his original is 35, so if the appeal is, like, if he gets an appeal, he'll get out? I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest, like, when you start using big words and shit, like, you lose me, bro.
What did you make of
like,
it? So I think it was between
words?
5 and 99 years he could have received as a sentence. He gets 35. Just knowing criminal defense, he gets, I think it was between 5 and 99 years he could have received as a sentence. He gets 35. Just knowing criminal defense in Texas. And, this was a case where he's in this confrontation. He doesn't have any sort of a previous criminal record. What did you make of the 35 years for Karmelo, Anthony?
I think it's a really stiff sentence for a kid that committed a crime at 17. The caveat to that is a 17-year-old lost his life over what the jury's determined to be a really senseless act. And so it's...
So if he was 18,
that's
more than 35?
That's 3.5 decades, Chris. I mean, the kid, it's more than twice the kid's lifetime. And so I think it's a really high verdict. And
so he's saying it's
I'd like to understand more what the defense's sentencing preparation looked like in a case like this.
Because, and that was one thing that stood out to me was, it was 3 hours or so.
But yeah, like, think about that, bro. Like, 17 years, that's like literally his whole, like, life, which means literally another person that was just born, like a whole new baby that was just born. When they're 17, he'll be just not getting out. That's actually kind of crazy to think about, bro. You feel me? Like, literally, when a whole nother child is born, as soon as he got in jail, as soon as he started 17 years, another kid will be born. That same day that he's in that jail cell, starting his 17-year sentence, another kid will be born all the way to the end, and a whole nother kid will probably have his whole birthday, then or just be graduating high school. Like, that's crazy, bro. That's damn near like somebody living his whole life again. And that's crazy to think about too for like the people that are in
verdict. And then I was thinking, as we were kind of waiting for information to come out, it's like, okay, so maybe tomorrow
and the life sentence, that's literally like just a whole fresh new person being born, all the way to them passing away.
The
Like so many
punishment,
different people that
the
passed away
punishment
during that whole
part of
time
it,
frame.
let everybody get a breath, but they go right into the punishment phase for Carmelo Anthony. I mean, it felt like within, the hour, his mom is on the stand pleading for mercy from the jury. And then 3 hours or so after that, they come back with the 35-year number. Is that typical in Texas to kind of go that quickly from verdict to sentence within the day?
It's a possibility. Yeah, it can happen in any district court, and that's
You
really
know,
just
the thing. I thought you had to like go to court. They'll tell you if you're getting held in jail or not. Or like if you're guilty or whatever, they'll put you in jail, and then you'll have another trial that'll determine if you get parole, and then another trial you'll get your sentence. I know you get your sentence in the same day. I never knew that was a thing. I ain't gonna lie.
a judge by judge
But they
situation.
I guess they felt that the evidence was so significant that they can just go right. That's probably just him saying that he did it. Like him just saying that, they probably was like, okay, bet. How like if he never would have said he did it, they probably would have had like took some a little bit more time.
If I was in the defensive situation, or if I was a judge, I would be inclined to probably break for the day and have the parties come back for sentencing the next day to give the defense time to regroup. That being said, you're using jurors' time. People have just spent a number of days listening to pretty gruesome evidence.
But do you get paid for like a jury or not? Because I know you got to take off work and stuff like that for it. And I think if you get selected, you have to go. Because I think my mom was a jury before. Like if you get selected, you got to go. Like there's no other option. I wish I would have asked her like what ended up happening with it, but I was like younger at the time. I wonder what ended up happening to that person.
They're away from their families, they're away from their work, and judges have the responsibility of getting cases to verdict expediently while preserving the rights of the defendant as well as the state's rights in these cases. So you do see courts jump right in from guilt, innocence, and a punishment. And as a defense attorney, you have to be ready for the bad news and the one word verdict, and turn right around, put your game face on, and argue why the jury shouldn't sentence your client to a term of a large number like 35 years.
Yeah, I mean, again, mid-50s. You think of the kid, he's 17, he just graduated high school, mid-50s on the way out. But then, for the Metcalf family, Austin's never coming home. Very, very sad case in Texas.
You wonder, and I've seen this in jury verdicts, right, where a jury will send a meaning behind their verdict, right? And so they can't really consider parole, but they were probably made aware that parole, that the defendant would have to do half the time before he was eligible. And so you wonder if they took that into consideration and saying, well,
so they're saying that if he can get parole, he'll have to take 17 years. But if he either can't get parole or can't pay for the parole, he'll have to stay until 35 or until he can get out from then.
They can do 35. He'll do his lifetime. He'll do the victim's lifetime. Just something that kind of crossed my mind.
Yeah, that's what he means by the lifetime. So he's meaning, like I said, with the 0 to 17. So yeah, so he'll basically do from Austin being born all the way to him passing away, and then from Karmelo being born all the way to him passing away. That's what they mean. Okay.
You're talking about numbers.
Yeah, no. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that yet. And we'll see what happens. This appeal process, certainly a high-powered team, but
I'll make sure
what impact will it make in the long run? We'll see. Anthony Asso, criminal defense attorney out of Houston, Texas. Thank you for taking the time to be with us here on Law and Crime. It's great to be with you.
Chris, always a pleasure. Thanks.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we are also now streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris.
Oh shit, they on TV? That nigga said he's on Spotify? Am I tripping?
And subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we are also.
I think there is podcasts on Spotify now I think about it. All right. This video did save, so that's good. Hour and 20 minutes. I love long videos. Like I said, we are gonna watch the Julio Fulio case probably tomorrow. And then we also gotta watch this video too. And we watch WNBA, of course, tomorrow because it's championship. I'm watching the WNBA game. So I'm just gonna watch this video. But if she was the one, because I know they said it was a lot of people in it, so I don't know. I mean, if she was the one that did it, I guess. But RP to Julio Fulio, and to Austin. So just pray, man. We pray for Austin and Karmelo and their families. Let's do this though. But just protect Austin's family. help everybody be able to recover from this, and just be able to have a why. Let this be their why in life if they don't already have one, and just help everybody be able to learn from this. Help Carmelo family be able to learn from this as well, and just the coaches and the people around them to be able to learn from this as well, and also be able to heal from this too. His friends, his families, his brother, his girlfriend, any possible people he was close to, help them be able to recover, and just overall be able to allow just kids in general to make better decisions, especially in high school. Not carry weapons and just leave things to you. Not always think out of impulse or think out of ego or pride, and just, sometimes just put their pride to the side and live and see another day. Because I guarantee you, if Carmelo does get the years he does, he will realize that it just wasn't worth it. Even if he doesn't now, he realized it wasn't worth it, and that if he would just put his pride to the side and just walked away, like Austin would have told him to, he would never be in this situation. Austin would be here with us today. But just keep their family uplifted. Bless both families, and just help everybody be able to make the best of where they're at now. But just help life be better for them even after this tragedy, and just spark a fire in them to just be their best versions of themselves, and just help us all be recover from this, and um, just make better decisions down the line. But we love living without you. Jesus, I'm name. We love you. And so many, man. All right, man. Jesus, y'all. More videos set up tomorrow, or I might make one more video today. I gotta see. If not, I'm gonna stream tomorrow, or I'm gonna stream tonight, later tonight. So I got y'all, but probably just gonna be 2K. I think I'm gonna be playing Backrooms soon too. I just gotta see. Um, but yeah, love y'all, man.